Good morning and welcome to the Assiniboia Community Committee for this Tuesday, April 14th of 2026. My name is Councillor Evan Duncan. I'll be chairing today's meeting. I'm joined by my council colleagues, Councillor Dobson and Lukes, as well as members of our public service, including our senior committee clerk, Ms. Leah Cowan, and our urban planner for planning, property and development, Mr. Galston, as well as other public service members who will be introduced while the reports come forward. Before we get started here, could I have someone move the minutes from our last meeting? Moved by Councillor Dobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that is carried. I'd also like to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 1 territory, the original homes of the Red River Métis, and that our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 41st Nation Treaty 3 territory. Before we get started, we do have delegations to speak to these reports. Madam Clerk.
So first is Carrie Schultz to be heard with respect to report 2. Carrie is with us in person today. You can, yeah.
I don't actually have much to add to the report. I think the report speaks for itself that just given the constraint of completing all conditions for subdivision within a year can sometimes be difficult when you're dealing with another level of government who is the applicant for the subdivision. And just speaking with Blaine this morning, my understanding is that the plan of easements are now signed. And sorry, Blaine, I think you said there was one more thing that needs to be completed. And so we're almost at the end and we have good momentum and we would like to keep going and complete this subdivision and get it over the finish line.
Questions?
Okay, so sorry, I didn't log on, but we're talking about the
Bridgewater.
We're talking about the former school site in Bridgewater.
Yes.
So I get lots of calls on this site.
Okay.
So you're asking for a 1-year extension of time?
Yeah.
A 1-year extension of time, and you've started the process, or
We're almost done the process.
what is the process? What process are you doing?
Subdivision and rezoning.
Okay,
So
like the application. I thought it was already.
yeah, it's been approved.
Right.
Was approved by council. So then during that 1-year period, there were conditions that we had to meet, such as entering into a service agreement with the city.
Right.
And then we were told we needed to do a plan of easement and an easement agreement, which has literally just been executed. And there might have been 1 or 2 other things in there. So we're almost done, like just so close. But we didn't want to gamble with the chance of not having all the documents in order by the deadline.
What's the deadline?
Sorry, I forget off the top of my head. Blaine, was it?
It's March. Actually, it's March 27th, so it actually has passed, but we're still okay.
Yeah.
As long as if the extension's granted.
Okay, and then so when do you foresee equipment coming in and starting with the servicing pipes and roads? Do you envision that happening this year?
It's possible. I can't 100% guarantee anything, but I know Manitoba Housing has hired another engineering firm to do the detailed design of like the roads and the pipes and the infrastructure and whatnot. So I know the developer really wants to, because it's been a long time coming, right?
Yeah.
So they really want to get going on it.
So we extend it for a year, and that allows you to get all of your
All the ducks in a row, basically, all the legal agreements signed off
right.
between the city and the province. Yeah, like we're at the tail end. It's so close.
Right. And then it's up to the province, Manitoba Housing, then when they want to put equipment in and start
Exactly.
building. So they get everything approved.
Yeah.
But it is subdivided, right? It is rezoned for single family. Correct? That's my understanding.
The subdivision rezoning application, this is what we're looking to extend, so it's not in force and effect yet.
Oh, it's not, okay.
So that's what we're looking to extend, is that the deadline, the expiry date of the bylaw, to allow them more time to complete the servicing and the securities in order for us to release the subdivision to be registered, and then the zoning, subdivision zoning, to be in force and effect.
So then they have to come back again? Do they come back?
Not until the permit stage, no. Like we're
Until the permit stage, permitting for what?
development and building permits.
Got it. And you come back to this committee?
It just goes straight to PP&D.
Oh, straight to PP&D.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so we're extending the time. All right, I get lots of calls on this, right?
I can
It's been going on
imagine. It's
for
been a long
12
process.
years, so. Okay. Okay, I have no more questions.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your delegation this morning.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, next is Brad McGregor from Broad Street Properties to be heard with respect to report 6. Brad is joining us via Zoom today. Brad, you've entered 2 different devices into the meeting, so I'm not too sure. I'll ask you to start both videos. I'm not sure which you're using. Okay,
Oh, sorry, I'm probably on the browser version as well as the laptop here, so feel free to kick the other one out.
thanks. You have up to 5 minutes for your presentation.
Perfect. I'm just going to share my screen here.
And this is item number 6.
Yes.
Okay, just want to confirm that everyone can see there.
Yeah, we can see and hear you. Please proceed.
Wes?
Okay. Perfect. All right. Morning, counselors and members of the administration. My name is Brad McGregor. I'm a development manager with Broad Street Properties, and I'm presenting today for our plan approval for our development in the South Point neighborhood called West Point Apartments.
Okay, Brad, I don't have a copy of your presentation. Was this
I think it's submitted, isn't it?
submitted to the clerk?
Yeah, I sent it in when I registered myself.
Okay, sorry about that.
Hey, just wait a minute. Is that the one that's on there's one on the agenda, item 6, submitted plans.
Those are just the plans for the item,
Oh.
public service.
Okay, so
Yeah.
does he have, can you send me the presentation that he's gonna rattle through?
Sure, yeah, I'm
Okay.
just double checking that we received it.
You need it right now, Councilor Lukes, or can we continue and that can be circulated?
Brad, we didn't receive anything from this. Like, I did get your delegation request, but it didn't include a submission. Are you able to forward that to me right now?
Certainly. Apologies, I had when I did it, was positive I included this.
Great.
Sorry.
We just need a suspension of the rules from the committee just to accept the presentation.
Motion
Councilor
to,
Lukes, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We'll accept the submission of the presentation here. And that'll be circulated to the committee by the clerk.
Mhm.
A moment, please.
Sorry,
so,
bear with me. I'm just having some email connectivity issues at home, so I'm just trying to coordinate it all with my phone here. Sorry, the file's too large for me to email. That might be what happened.
okay, so we'll watch your presentation, but then if you could figure out how to get it to the clerk at some point.
Yeah, it'll just be an extra minute, but I've got to create a link essentially and send it in that way. But in the spirit of time.
If you could just email it to me directly, Brad, we can't
Yeah.
get a link. So
Oh, okay. I'll have to compress
Shut
it.
it down.
Brad,
Yeah.
I'll get you to proceed with your presentation and then we
Okay.
can go with the actual
Sure.
sending of it
Okay.
after you're done your delegation. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the mix up here. Okay, I think this is where I left off. Screen is still up, or do you need me to reshare? Sorry.
No, that's good.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so brief introduction to Broad Street Properties. If you're unfamiliar, we're a real estate development company, along with our sister company, Seymour Pacific Developments. We own and operate over 16,000 apartment units across Western Canada in over 30 municipalities, with over 14 properties in Winnipeg. We've got a dirt-to-door philosophy, so we're involved in all stages of development, from acquiring the land, managing development approvals, construction, and property management for the lifespan of the building. So with that, we're looking at West Point Apartments.
Is that the name of it? That's what you're calling it?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
So our subject site's in the Waverly West Ward, in the Prairie Point development there, at the southwest corner of Keniston and Waverly. The development consists of 2 lots, one on the north, one on the south. Both are zoned residential multifamily large. Phase 1 on the north includes 2 6-story buildings with underground parking and 201 units. And currently the plans for phase 1 are in development permit review, and both buildings on site are in building permit review. We're hoping to start construction on the phase 1 side in June this year. Phase 2 on the south side also includes 2 6-story buildings with underground parking and 209 units. We're planning on starting the development application process for that in 2027, with construction to start in 2028. More specific details, like I said, we've got a total of 410 units between the both phases. We've got a mix of studio units, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. We've previously brought this project to this committee for a variance, one of which was for parking. So we've got 540 parking stalls in total. That's on the surface and in the parkade for tenants and visitors. And one of those conditions was to provide some additional bicycle parking stalls. So in total, we're providing 361 bike stalls across both phases, with 281 being indoors and weather protected, and 80 being in short-term stalls outside. Additionally, we've got a wide range of amenities for tenants, including indoor community lounges, a fitness center, community garden, fenced dog run, playground, multi-use sport court, and a covered barbecue area with seating. Oops. One of the other items that came up in the variance was the elevation and the facades of our building. The previously proposed brown color scheme was not well received, so after discussions with Councillor Lukes there, we've adjusted it to a more blue and gray color range, as you can see here, with some stone veneer on the main floor on the street facing facades. These are just typical elevations. The full building elevations are in the submitted drawing package. This is a shot from the inside, so the interior facing side. So similar materials, but you can also kind of see the wood accents that will tie the site together. A quick look at the landscaping plan here, similar to what was presented at the variance hearing, with trees and shrubs planted throughout the site. Another variance was for related to landscaping along the shared property line in between the 2 sites. That planting would have been required. That would have been required along that is just distributed throughout the site there. Now we'll just quickly look at some perspectives of the site and the buildings and what that's going to look like here. So this here is the first view is looking north, coming along Country Meadow Boulevard. There, the building on the right-hand side would be phase 2. The building on the left-hand side would be phase 1. more of an overall rendering of the site. This is the phase one site, so you can see the parking lot area, the facades of the buildings, and the amenity areas on the right-hand side there.
Motion for another 2 minutes.
I have maybe 30 seconds left.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Extension 1 minute, all in favor, opposed? Okay, thank you, Brad. You can wrap up.
For sure, yeah. So more of an overhead view of all the amenities here to get a better picture. And a ground level shot coming from the amenity area, but also shows the phase two buildings and how that would enclose the site there overall. As I mentioned kind of throughout, we've done the variances. We're at plan approval. Phase one is in building permit and development permit review. So from here, the next step would be to start construction following approval in June. Thank you very much for your time and open to any questions here.
Brad, questions from committee?
I guess is that a half court basketball court or is it a full court?
Half court, I can go back there and we can take a look here. Oops. Half court basketball, but it'd be a pickleball court as well.
Wow.
So it's multi-use.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you want to start in June,
Correct. Yep.
right? And then I guess I'll ask the department this related to the transportation road changes on Waverly. I don't know if anyone in the department's going to be able to speak to that. So your access point in and out is basically off Waverly and then on Ken Oblique, right? That's the in and out.
And we're on Country Meadow Boulevard, so which is access off of Waverly, but we're not. There's no direct access to Waverly or Kenaston.
Yeah, you're off Country Meadow Boulevard, but they have to get on Country Meadow Boulevard by coming
Yes.
off Waverly Street or Ken Oblique, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then where do you show the access point on to Country Meadow Boulevard in all these plans? Where is that?
It would be on the site plan.
Is that in the report or is that on yours?
It would be in the plans here, but
Okay,
onto right in the middle between the two
Right.
L-shaped buildings there, kind of split on both phases.
Right, right, okay. Okay, and then are any of these are all market rate, none of them are, did you receive any funding from federal government or anywhere to have affordable housing in here?
No, nothing from the government. Some units, I believe 10%, will be CMHC affordable, but
There
no
will-
other additional grants or funding.
Right, so there will be some CMHC, 10%?
Yes, for the CMHC financing program. Yeah.
Do we know how many units? Just because people ask me, right? They get all,
Yeah. No. I believe it's required to be 10%. So there would be
10% of all your units.
Yes. So 41 overall would be. Yeah, 10% of the units there.
Would be what is it like?
CMHC, I believe, is 70% of market rate. I don't recall the exact amount.
Maybe you can figure that out and send it to me. If you
For sure, yeah, I can definitely find that and pass it along here.
Because I do get questions. People are very concerned
course.
about all the apartments we're building and what percentage of the units are affordable or a certain type of affordability. So if you wouldn't mind sending me that, that would be great.
Yep.
Okay,
I
so
can certainly do that.
right, well, this is very exciting. More housing. Okay. I don't have any more questions of the delegation.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation.
All right.
And there are no proposed amendments, Counselor, just while the applicant is.
No, we've heard multiple times that it's not gonna be a brown building. We've heard it's gonna be gray and blue. I know that sounds crazy, but it's important to people.
Great. I do have a quick question before we let you go. What, can you review shared spaces within the building again?
Within the building, in the phase one side, we'll have right next to our rental unit, a fitness center and a community lounge. That'll be open to all tenants, of course. And then in phase two, we'll have an additional community lounge space in building C.
In any of your properties, do you guys ever do a shared dining room space?
Not specifically programmed for dining. Like there's tables and stuff provided in the community lounges, and I believe there's little kitchenettes as well. But there's no, shared meal space.
Okay.
I have one question. Your interior bike parking, is that downstairs or where is the interior bike parking?
We've got some, actually, I've got a couple extra floor plans here. So on all buildings, there'll be a bike room right next to the main entrance at the main ground level. And then there is additional bike parking in the parkades as well.
Is it lot to stage or?
Yeah, depending on where they are in the buildings, in the corners, they'll likely be a caged area. If they're on the ends of the buildings, they're usually walled in with a steel door with a lock.
Okay,
Yeah, they'll all be locked though, like to the rooms.
right. Okay. Great. This is very exciting. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye now.
Okay.
Great. I believe that's the end of our delegations. We can move into reports. We have 6 prior to our public hearing. This has to be beginning in 19 minutes. So starting with number 1, we have our non-conforming approach. This is 172 and 300 Pathfinder Trail and 30 and 114 Roaming Ridge Place. Public service.
Sure, this is a application that came through the Public Works Department, so I mean, I can't really speak to it in detail, but this is a non-conforming approach application, so they're proposing new private approaches in this neighborhood that don't conform to the public access bylaw. I think the reason that they don't is because they are adjacent to a public lane, but they're still taking their access from the from the front approach. So these lots in the applicant's site plan on the agenda. You can see they're highlighted in blue. Each of these 4 lots are flanking a public lane, but they're going to take their front approach from the fronting street.
Interesting.
One question. So all this houses next to them have a front access versus the lane. So it kind of doesn't make sense for them to be forced to access the lane when all their neighbors access the front.
The applicant notes that the driveways are consistent with the other lots on the block. Yeah. We have a mover here.
Okay, just wait here. Hold on. So this is in Bison Run. So
This is a lane. They must, according to the rules, access there, but everyone else is on the front.
so the rules say they have to access from the lane, but why can't they?
Yeah, the rules say if a lane is present, like along the side or the back of a property,
right.
then then that property needs to take their access from that lane. But they are applying for this so that they can take their access from the front.
From the front street?
Yeah.
Why? Why can't they do it from the lane?
I mean, I believe their thinking is that everyone else on these streets, like.
Has front
Roman
access,
Ridge,
so they want front access.
Yeah,
It notes in the submission from the applicant that the side yard serves as flankage / side yards to the lots rather than a side lane. However, it is identified as a lane. So they have to have a non-conforming approach.
Right. Okay, all right, and the public service is okay with that? Yes, okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the public services recommendation.
Okay. And that the non-conforming approach be approved.
That the non-conforming approach be approved.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried.
Keep reading.
Oh, right, for this following supporting reasons.
Nope, and you'll move, oh, sorry, yes, you do. I apologize. It's a little different.
So the following supporting reasons allows consistency with the front approaches of the other homes.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. We'll move on to item number 2, which is an extension of time. We heard from a delegation this morning. Any further questions from the public service on this?
So this is for the former school lot, report 2. They want an extension of time. So we've never ever refused an extension of time when people have come in and asked for it, have we?
Not to my
No. Okay. Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the required extension of time.
And you're okay with the year?
Yeah, 1 year. Yeah.
Okay, so that'll expire March 27th, 2027.
Okay.
Moved by Councillor Lukes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Moving on, item number 3, I can hand the chair to either of my colleagues here.
Take it.
Okay.
Dobson.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dobson. So this is a left turn signal off of Grant Avenue at Haney. For those that are familiar with the Charleswood area, this is at the Charleswood Shopping Center, right at the corner with the meets at the dog park, the McDonald's, and the William Clement Parkway. So typically traffic coming off the William Clement Parkway and coming east on Grant Avenue are stopped at the existing controlled intersection. Those that are turning left off of Grant heading southbound on Haney can't clear the intersection until a yellow light occurs. And therefore you only have one vehicle turning left heading southbound. So this is a simple request from this committee to have the Standing Policy Committee on Public Works direct the public service to install a left turn signal southbound onto Haney Street at Grant, and that the Land Dedication Reserve, the Assiniboia Community Committee, specifically the Charles Tuxedo Westwood Ward allocation, fund the project up to a maximum of $5,000.
Okay, that's the motion.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
So why do you have to pay for it? Out of your ward money? Like, are they saying it's not warranted or
Yeah, they have indicated that
it doesn't meet the criteria yet?
criteria and that it's not warranted.
Right.
And I'm not looking for a study or anything of that. So I'm hearing from residents on it, and I'm willing to expend board funds as it's a priority for the community.
Right, like just because it's gonna come to Public Works and then I need to understand your take on it. So this is by a school, right? Or,
Yeah, there's a ton of different city assets as well as private assets there at the Charleswood Center. Like I said, the very busy McDonald's. The Charleswood Dog Park is there as well. They've actually set up a pedestrian crossing about 100 meters from this intersection as well, which encourages more people to head southbound on Haney and then turn into the Charleswood Center parking lot to park to then travel across Haney into the dog park. That's actually the only formal city access. There is an access point on the west side of the dog park. However, that is private land owned by the Charleswood Curling Club, which is just another 100 to 150 meters west of this intersection, as well as Charleswood School, which serves over 600 middle school students, Iroquois Arena, you name it, with recreation. There is located in this area. It's a busy intersection that a simple turn signal would help alleviate some issues. And I'm not looking for this to be a turn signal that constantly goes off. It can be something that's on a sensor that, when required, is activated.
and have you talked to them about it at all?
Yeah, I talked to Mr. Patman, said that he would look into it. I never actually heard back on whether or not it was investigated, but I continue to receive calls and
Right.
to be proactive on this instead of just directing them to pursue it and implement it, I'm willing to use allocation from the Charles Tuxedo Westwood Land Mitigation Reserve.
Okay. All right. I
Good.
did that on an intersection too. It didn't quite meet criteria. They had to study it and everything. It took forever. But it didn't quite meet criteria, but we put it in. It was the
Yeah.
Costco turning and people love it. So
I'd like to make one comment. There is actually a turning lane,
stacking lane, yeah.
there's a stacking lane, and I've actually had to wait to turn into McDonald's.
I mean, any time of the day when, I mean, we could go into the evening hours, it might not see this issue, but anytime that there's traffic out during the daytime hours, working hours, we'll say, I would hazard a guess that not more than one vehicle will be getting through that intersection, as the traffic that's traveling southbound on the William Clement Parkway, turning eastbound onto Grant, it's just too heavy to allow for any other vehicles to cross through there.
Okay,
Okay.
so that the motion's on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
And if you keep the chair, I'll continue with items 4 and 5. Item 4 is a stop sign at the corner of Boreham and Mount Batten in the Tuxedo neighborhood. But this is an interesting intersection. It's actually the only intersection along Mount Batten that does not have a north-south stop sign. Can't really find any reason why it was never implemented for the northbound traffic here. It actually seems to warrant it, given that it is located right beside Laidlaw School, which serves children from kindergarten to grade 8, which is the only school in the Tuxedo neighborhood. This is also at the end of a 30-kilometer-an-hour school zone. So to further promote road safety, it only makes sense to have traffic stop at this intersection. Unfortunately, just as my whereas noted at the meeting of December 14th of 1994, council delegated the authority to the Director of Public Works to be the traffic authority for the city in minor traffic matters, such as basic intersection control, including stop and yield signs. So I'm asking that the Standing Policy Committee on Public Works be requested to direct the Winnipeg Public Service to install the stop sign northbound and southbound at the intersections of Boreham and Mount Batten.
So they're going to come back to me and they're going to say they want to study it. Mhm.
Yeah, I know, and that seems to be the typical response for this. Again, this doesn't provide any more safety issues. It actually is resolving a potential safety issue here. And it is in context with the remaining intersections along Mount Batten. And there are several of them, all of which are controlled until you get to Park North, which I mean is more of a thoroughfare there. And that is the only one that is not controlled by stop signs. So it encourages consistency along Mount Batten there, just so that pedestrians and motor vehicles drivers are not confused on whether they should be stopping or not.
Okay.
Again, something that the community's reached out for. I've been in discussions with the director and public service members since I was first elected, when I went out on my first drive through the ward with Mr. Berezowski and brought this to his attention. So he'll be well aware.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that's
Right.
motions on the table.
Okay. All in favor?
All in favor?
Carry or
Aye.
We're tag teaming the chair here. Okay. All right.
Okay, motion's carried.
Okay.
All right, and not to overwhelm the fine folks with Public Works Standing Policy Committee or the department, this is a traffic signal on Grant and Oakdale, and this committee will remember the public hearing that came forward for the approval of, I think it was 46 additional units on Oakdale in front of the existing 275 units that were approved by Councillor Lukes and Councillor Gillingham and Councillor Klein at the time, which have been fully constructed and have no vacancy within them. So at the time, this current version of the Assiniboia Community Committee approved an additional, and again, I think it was 46 units. But there was never any developer payback for traffic signals at Grant and Oakdale. So this committee imposed I believe it was 15% contribution from the developer, which they agreed to as a condition of their approval. So now we have over 300, in the neighborhood of 325 new units on what was strictly single family residential street. Again, we have the Charleswood Middle School with over 600 middle school students right at the intersection of Grant and Oakdale. We have the Charleswood Curling Club there. We have Iroquois Arena. We have Iroquois Park, which is home to the Charleswood Broncos. So lots of traffic there. One of the particular, therefore, that I would like to bring to your attention, Councillor Lukes, that I would really like to see Public Works, if they are supportive of this, is that this traffic study that we're requesting here today be done prior to the end of the school year. I think it's extremely important that data is taken into consideration, because if the public service is to go out into the summer months, the traffic levels will not reflect the reality of the situation there.
Right.
I did indicate 120 days, but if I'm just going to ask the clerk, where would that take us for this to come back, given this the prorogue period?
So if this will go to our May Public Works meeting.
Okay, so this won't be meeting this week's meeting.
So it would be the next meeting of Public Works, which is May. So June would be 30. November, I believe. The November meeting, just accounting for the full.
So it would be after the election.
Mhm. It's, sorry, it's just taking a while for the schedule to load. Let me just double check. So
Are we debating this?
committee concurs in May, it goes 30, 60, 90. Sorry, that's I guess like the November, December cycle, 120. So it would be the December 2nd meeting of Public Works.
Okay. And is there a September meeting?
Yes, September 10th.
My intention was to get it back so that there could be some information prior to the break for the election period there. I don't know what timeline, if I could amend this now.
Would you like to just say report back to the standing committee at its
September.
September 10th meeting?
Would that be?
Yeah, let's say that.
Yeah,
Yeah, instead of 120 days.
Yeah,
pick
I
a
mean-
date.
Yeah.
although it doesn't account for the 120 days, it's still much more than 120 days. Okay, so this is strictly just a study in this case to see if it warrants and that to report back.
Okay.
Committee support.
That's the motion as amended.
Yes, thank you. As amended, I'll move.
All moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion's carried.
Okay.
Do we need more than 2 minutes on item number
No,
6? or-
I'm ready to approve it.
Okay,
I don't have any questions. I'm familiar with the road work, what's going to happen.
no highlights from the public service. Councilors comfortable moving? Seeing none? Any questions from committee? Seeing none? Moved by Councilor Lukes, all in favor of the approval of the submitted plans? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you very much. It brings us at 10:28. We'll wait just a better part of 90 seconds here to start our public hearing. Welcome back to the Assiniboia Community Committee for this April 14th of 2026. We're into our public hearings this morning. We have 7 items to deal with. I will hand it over to our senior committee clerk to introduce the items.
In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information. Finally, the applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made. However, no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it is your opportunity to speak. However, you are not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult the City Clerk's Department website. Please note that all public hearings are recorded and will be part of the public record. Should you have any questions after the hearings have concluded, please contact the City Clerk's Department. Item 1 is a secondary plan amendment at 355 to 415 Center Street under file SPA 7 of 2025. In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, this is a combined hearing, and the following items will also be heard at the same time. Namely, item 2 is a subdivision and rezoning at 355 to 415 Center Street under file DAS Ed 49 of 2025. Item 3 is a variance at 355 Center Street under file DAB 225383 of 2025D. Please note communications were received in support of the matter, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. If you'd like a brief overview from the public service,
Please.
Good morning, councillors. My name is Anna McKinnon, and I'm a planner with the Long Range Planning Branch in the Urban Planning and Design Division. And I'll be speaking to the first of the 3 applications, that is the secondary plan amendment application under file number SPA 7 of 2025, which is an application to amend the Waverly West Town Centre Neighbourhood Area Structure Plan. The Waverly West Town Centre Plan was adopted by Council in 2010 and provides vision and policy direction to guide development within the plan area. The current application proposes to redesignate a portion of the lands known as 355 Center Street from employment land mixed use to commercial mixed use. The subject lands currently contain 5 existing commercial buildings on the southern portion of the property and are undeveloped to the north. The proposed secondary plan amendment would redesignate the northern portion of the title area to allow for the development of a 6-story multifamily residential building with commercial uses on the main floor. The subject property's current employment land mixed use designation allows for a range of uses, including offices, business parks, retail, and institutional uses, but does not accommodate residential use. The proposed redesignation to commercial mixed use would permit the establishment of a residential use on the property. The public service is supportive of the proposed secondary plan amendment as it aligns with policy direction in Complete Communities and the goals and policies of the Waverly West Town Centre Plan. Complete Communities encourages residential intensification and recent community designations along collector and arterial roads where compatible with the surrounding context and supports mixed-use development in areas that are well served by transit and nearby commercial amenities. The proposed redesignation is consistent with this policy direction. The mixed-use building appears compatible with surrounding development, which includes multifamily residential, commercial, and recreational uses. The site is located at the intersection of 2 collector roads and is bound to the west by Kenniston Boulevard, which is an arterial roadway. The site is adjacent to established transit routes and commercial services, and the proposal includes ground floor commercial space. The proposed development is also consistent with the goals and policies of the Waverly West Town Centre Plan, which encourages the development of a pedestrian-oriented mixed-use area and the provision of a range of medium and higher density housing options. For these reasons, the public service recommends approval of the proposed redesignation. And I also just wanted to note the public service has recommended 1 additional amendment, which is shown on the bylaw attached as Appendix B to the report. This additional change would just be to update a table on page 10 of the secondary plan that provides the total acres of land for each designation within the plan to reflect the current redesignation if approved. And I'll pass it over to my colleagues to discuss the other 2 applications.
Can just wait, let's talk about that last one. So on Appendix B, proposed bylaw,
Yes.
Schedule B. So that's what you're saying is
Correct.
using Schedule B to update the secondary plan. So Schedule B, now does that include some of the rezonings that we've recently done, Mr. Galston? You know, we've done some rezonings, right? So does that include?
So this is in the secondary plan, so it would not include rezonings. It would include any redesignations that have occurred.
Redesignations.
Correct. So any changes to designations within the secondary plan have been updated in here in the past, and this would just update it to reflect the current proposal if it is approved by council.
So is like a redesignation, just clarify what a redesignation is.
So the redesignation in this context would be that the lands at 355 Center Street are currently designated employment land mixed use under the secondary plan, and the applicant has applied to change that designation to commercial mixed use to allow for the residential use on the property.
Got it. So if something, so if something is designated, let's just take an example, commercial mixed use, and it's changed to residential, that's a redesignation.
Correct, yes. If it's an application to amend the secondary plan, yes.
And the secondary plan amendment, okay. Is amending the Waverly West Town Center Neighborhood Area Structure Plan. Okay, a lot of plans out there. Got to be on top of it here. Okay, so then when I look at this chart, this is what is in the Waverly West Town Center Neighborhood Area Structure Plan. This chart reflects that.
Yes, the chart in Schedule B would replace what's currently in the plan, just to reflect the 2.65 acres that are proposed for redesignation, if it is approved.
Okay. All right, okay. And what's the little star? Refer to section 553 regarding parkland designation. Does this change the parkland designation by?
No, that's just a part of the original table that's in the plan.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, next person.
Sure. Yeah, so just further to the secondary plan amendment that's being applied, this proposal also requires a subdivision and rezoning application, and that's to subdivide the existing lot into two lots, Lot 1 and Lot 2, and rezone Lot 1, where the proposed mixed-use building will go, rezone that to the CMU Commercial Mixed Use Zoning District. So the secondary plan is being amended, and they are also rezoning the property. This is to accommodate the new mixed use building. As noted by my colleague Anna, the proposal is for a building that's 6 stories tall. So their elevation drawings show a height of approximately 70 feet, which is permitted in the CMU zoning district. There will be a total of 142 dwelling units and a total of 209 accessory parking stalls for that mixed use development. So this provides a parking ratio of 1.47 stalls per unit. On the ground floor of the proposed building, there's approximately 12,000 square feet of commercial space. And finally, the proposal is also the subject of a variance application concerning the proposed building setbacks and the setbacks to parking areas. A lot of those variances are caused by the creation of the new lot line through the back of the property, which kind of this property will function with its neighbor as one large development where they share parking, drive aisles, etc. But variances are triggered because of the setbacks, because the parking is right up against the new lot lines. As well, there's variances for the building setbacks from Center Street and Southtown Road. But those are consistent with the area secondary plan, which support pedestrian-friendly development. So this is a mixed-use building, so it makes sense to bring it up closer to the sidewalk in this context. So I can answer any other questions.
Okay, so for report 2, subdivision and rezoning, when I look at the map on page 10, so it was MMU before, you're subdividing it and rezoning it to CMU.
Correct.
And that's the outline, it's sort of a funky outline. Why is it sort of?
Yeah, I think that's to accommodate parking that can be dedicated to this development, while also letting the existing commercial development kind of to the south keep their parking. I expect the applicant, when they come up, they can speak to that with more.
Parking a bit better,
Yeah.
okay. Right, so just let's see here, what else do we need to know? So is there any bike parking in here?
Yes, I believe they are providing 30 bike parking spaces, which does meet the zoning bylaw requirements.
Here we go. 20 indoor. no new private approaches, so it's the same entrance then off the roundabout to come in.
That's right.
So they've got 12,000 square feet for commercial retail units. And that is going to be built for commercial, the ground floor. It's not.
Yeah, they're showing like multiple like CRUs. So it's not one large 12,000 square feet, but
Yeah.
I believe the intention would be that there's some flexibility in that.
And then what do they have to do for landscaping?
With the landscaping, there are landscaping requirements. So they are applying for variances to the landscaping. That is along Keniston Boulevard. They applied in 2019 for variances to have insufficient landscaping. They kind of came up with an alternative proposal rather than meeting the letter of the zoning bylaw. They kind of came up with an alternative planting arrangement with additional trees rather than the shrubs that they would be required. So similar to our support in 2019, we're recommending support of those landscaping variances.
So in report 2, page 24, I guess that's the landscaping drawing. I guess we can talk to them about that. Okay, 24 and 25. Okay. Okay, I don't have any more questions for the public service.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I think we can move on.
Great. So first we'll hear from the applicant, Aaron Simoes, presenting in person. Is Aaron here?
I go to ask you that again, also speak prior or in conjunction with me to review some of the site.
Sorry.
Sorry. So Melissa from McGowan Russell, would you be able to share time so we could present together?
Yeah, you can present together, but then you share the 5 minutes if you're both acting as the applicant. That's a committee. It's 5 minutes.
Only time will tell.
Time will tell. Start presenting and let's see how it goes.
Melissa Neerink is also appearing as the applicant and will share her time with Aaron Simoes.
And you're all from McGowan Russell?
Yeah, I'm from MP Architects. Aaron Simoes from MP Architects. I'm at 50183 Gary Street.
Who's from McGowan Russell? Okay.
Okay. I'm Melissa Neering from McGowan Russell Group. We were the landscape architects on the project. I'll just run through the initial. Okay, all right. So this is the overall district development plan. Just to give an idea of how the whole site is working. So everything shown in dark gray on the right side of the screen is existing CRU buildings and parking, as well as the landscaping. The area that's crosshatched on the left side of the screen was already previously approved at plan approval and is currently being built, which is the 4-story office and mixed-use building. The new site that we are looking at is highlighted in purple, sort of in the center, which is the mixed-use residential and commercial building. So the proposed secondary plan amendment that was already mentioned by the public service, we are proposing to redesignate a 2.65 acre parcel from employment lands to commercial mixed use. The proposed subdivision and rezoning is to subdivide the southern portion of the property into two lots. So the purple being proposed lot one, which will be rezoned from manufacturing mixed use to commercial mixed use. And the proposed lot two, shown in blue, is to remain as manufacturing mixed use. This is the proposed site plan for both proposed lot one and proposed lot two. I heard there was some questions about the landscaping previously. We are requesting the variance to be reapproved for having more trees in lieu of shrubs for the street edge landscaping. However, we are providing the required landscaping for building foundation for the residential mixed-use building, as well as the parking lot landscaping for the entire site. We have, I believe it was a total of 74 bike stalls in the overall development, with some of them being indoor in the residential mixed-use building and the remainder being exterior. There are a number of variances that were mentioned. I won't go into them in great detail. As was mentioned, a lot of them are the result of the new property lines, requiring the variances to either be reapproved from the old application or the result of the new property lines causing variances for the drive aisle widths or setbacks to parking. One of the newer variances that were identified was the access to both proposed lot one for the residential building as well as the office building that's being built. There will not be a direct access to a public road. However, this will be under a cross-access agreement for the whole lot. So the whole lot will operate as one, with the access off of Center Street. This is just highlighting more of the variances. If there's any questions later that we need to go into detail on, we can definitely do that. And then for reference, we did do some public engagement last year. We sent out the information pamphlet on the right to nearby residents and developers in the area to let them know of the upcoming application. We also held a stakeholder open house on March 25th last year to let residents or developers attend if they had any questions. At that meeting, there were only 4 people that attended. Some of the concerns that were brought up were related to potential traffic concerns, privacy concerns for the nearby residential apartments, and shadow concerns of our building. However, we'll go through the architectural plans in a little bit, and with the building being a modest 6 stories, the shadows aren't really a concern for the buildings across the street, and any traffic that might be increased by this development was already anticipated by Public Works ahead of the development, and the new proposal doesn't really change the traffic that much.
Into the architecture. Thank you. Looking at the parkade of the building, we have 48 stalls of underground parking. On the main floor, as mentioned previously, we have about 12,000 square feet of CRU spaces on the right. And then on the left side are the services for the residential. So we have a common.
Yes. How much time? 4 minutes?
Sure.
Motion for 4 minutes.
Thank you.
4 minutes moved by Councillor Lutz, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried.
Left side of the plan having a common room, that'd be a 2-level common room that'll open up onto Southtown Road. We also have our bike storage.
Okay, wait, where's the common room?
The common room will be on the
Here.
far left side, so it could be glazed on Southtown Road.
Right.
This is also, we have our outdoor patio.
Right.
Corridor space. We have a bike room, which is accessible directly from the street. And then we also have a dedicated dog wash, dog spa there for people walking their dogs on the street. Again,
And all of this is for the apartment people.
just for the apartment. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Moving up to the second floor, you can see the top half of that common space. So we're anticipating having like a small gym area here, as well as some more common space for some working areas for residents of the building. And then can begin to see some of the layouts of the suites. So we're looking at 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom units. across the floors. This is our typical third and fourth floor. You can see the two larger two-bedroom units on the far side, kind of the road.
And what's over the common area on the third floor? What's,
Suites.
oh, apartments,
Yes.
okay.
So I mean, of the five stories, the first two will be the common area, and then 3 stories above
We'll have apartments, okay.
with some larger two-bedroom suites in that area. Mechanical penthouse on the roof level, and then our building elevations.
And it's a wood construction?
It will be a steel and concrete construction.
Oh, wow, okay.
Provide some color renderings with the elevations of the building, also with some feature lighting on it that's similar to what we're doing next door at the office building. We've carried a lot of the same design language from the office building that's currently under construction on the same site over to this building.
And so what is the white material? What is that?
That is acrylic, so stucco.
Right,
And then same for the top, we have a band of a darker gray acrylic.
stucco,
Stucco,
okay.
yeah, and then some brick and stone accents.
And what's the block?
That's a black brick.
Black brick, okay.
Yeah.
And there's balconies on this?
There are balconies, so
And they're not like wrought iron, they're like enclosed balconies?
so currently we're showing them as glass balconies. However, that will be permitted due to the design controls of the community. So
It will or
it
won't?
won't be, so we will need to switch that out into metal pickets or metal perforated balcony. Won't be permitted to use glass.
So you've put this through Naughty Designs, I guess,
We
then?
have Natty. We don't have his final blessing yet. The changes that were requested from Natty will go through another review with him. And then that'll be provided for plan application.
Okay.
But overall, the comments back from Natty were the balcony material and then some adjustments to some of the signage that we're doing on. Some perspectives of the building, again showing the building from all sides and courtyard as well. And then a couple of bird's eye views to get a picture of the size and scale of the building site. And then our sunlight study as well. So we're showing at the solstice and equinox, impact of the shadow. And as you can see, there's basically an impact on the buildings across the street.
Okay, so just let's get our bearings here, so point your building out,
Our buildings here.
right,
And this is our office building.
right,
And then these are the two.
right,
residential buildings.
right, okay. Okay,
And to close, just we concur with the recommendations of the administrative reports. I think I don't know if we need to go through these each, but no, we don't have any concerns with the proposed. Items.
Thank you. Any questions?
back up and show us where your decorative lighting is. I know that P3 likes decorative lighting, which we like too, so where is it?
So in this case, we're looking at framing the lighting within the window wells. So the building, again, similar to the office building, has some bumps in and out with the cladding. And where we have those changes in plane, we're looking at lighting to better.
Right. Right. People love the halo. They just love it. Okay. You think you've added lighting to some of your stuff, right? So, okay, questions. Your bike parking's inside, you've got interior amenities. You have your parking lot. Let's just recap the parking lot. Let's go back to the parking lot. So you've got underground parking, and then where is the dedicated parking for the apartment block?
So everything that's highlighted in the light purple.
In the purple, okay,
So technically everything into this area can be used by
right.
residential.
It's not a heavily used parking lot to begin with, from the businesses that are there, all the
It's mostly
businesses.
the ones concentrated right in front.
Yeah,
of each of
yeah.
these, Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah, I don't have any questions.
No questions?
From your community consultation, you said you had, what, 4 people come out?
Yes.
Okay, I would assume that those were the people to the
Apartment block.
west
Yes.
in the 4-story.
They were at 3.
Yeah.
Okay, and then just looking at your shadow study, it impacts them. Looking here. When during the day? Like, did they see this, or is this something that's,
This was presented at the open house.
What is the time in that bottom lower corner? That's.
This is 9 o'clock. December 21st.
so this shows that it does not impact them? And that was communicated to the residents? And that their response was?
It wasn't a focus at the open house, like for the people that did attend. It wasn't pretty designs.
Yeah, so it was more around traffic volumes.
Yeah. And less about
Capacity.
sunlight and more about privacy, just concerned about having people across the street to can potentially look into their units or the.
And then just for clarification, you had mentioned that you have to change the balcony fascia on there, like what has to change?
So the material of the balcony, we're showing you as glass currently in our renderings,
Okay.
and that isn't allowed with the neighborhood controls.
The neighborhood design guidelines. Yeah.
But that's not something that would come back for consideration, that would, it's just a straight no.
It would be reviewed during planning before.
Yeah, there's another design firm that Manitoba Housing has that overlooks any design that's submitted, kind of like a second look at it to comply with sort of the whole neighborhood design guidelines, right? So we don't have any glass balconies. They're all sort of a wrought iron or what did you call it? Spindles or?
Yeah, or like a perforated metal scene or the pickets.
Yeah.
I have seen some glass used or as guardrails, not as balcony.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, seeing no other questions at this time, last call. All right, appreciate your presentation, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next in support of the application is Jamie Hineo. Jamie, are you speaking? You don't wish to speak?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So we have no one else registered to speak in support of the application. Is there anyone in the gallery looking to speak in support? Okay, there's no one in opposition or for information, so just confirming no one in the gallery is looking to speak in opposition or for information on this application. Okay, if you have questions for the public service.
Any follow-ups for public service, keeping in mind that the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut anything they've heard?
Right. So when was the secondary plan created? What year?
The
2010, the structure plan. It was in 2010. Okay. And everyone seems to be we're all concerned about capacity, always concerned about capacity. So there's no problem with capacity.
No, Public Works was circulated on the plan amendment and they had no transportation concerns. They did not require a TIS for this development. Existing road network, can accommodate it.
Okay. And then in relation to, everyone's concerned about traffic. So I don't know, what do you have to say about traffic? There will be an increase in traffic.
There would have been, so this site would have been originally designated for employment uses, so there would have been traffic associated.
Right.
With
So
the
nominal one way or
uses.
the other?
Yeah, generally we would, the change to a mixed use building, maybe actually less traffic.
Right. We did that analysis when we switched one of the quadrants at Waverly and Kenniston, and the traffic actually appeared to be less by the residential versus the commercial that was potentially could go in. Okay, I don't have any more questions.
Does this require any type of green space dedication, or is it contribution in lieu of?
This is cash in lieu for this application.
Is there an approximate amount yet determined?
I don't know if
They would have contributed under a previous application.
Okay, so it's already been collected. It's already been collected.
Oh, I did have a question now.
Please.
I remember them specifying they would prefer more trees instead of shrubs. Is that an issue?
No, that's not a concern for us. I mean, trees are great. Generally, they are survive better than shrubs. So more trees is good. That's a suitable alternative in our review. Yeah.
All right. Seeing no other questions at this time, we can move on.
Okay, so the applicant has the opportunity to speak in rebuttal to comments made, but no new information is permitted. So Aaron and Melissa, would you like to speak in rebuttal to the comments you heard?
No, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They're waiving their opportunity to do that, so we can move into motions.
Okay.
Dealing with item number 1.
Secondary plan amendment, okay, that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none? Carried.
that the receipt of public representations be concluded,
In favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none? Carried.
that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and forwarded to the Standing Policy Committee on Property and Development.
Supporting reasons?
Okay, the supporting reasons would be that the Waverly West Town Center Plan area was created in 2010. A lot has changed in the world from the standpoint of the need for increased housing 16 years later. So because of that, I'm supportive of the recommendations that the public service is bringing forward.
Thank you. Support those reasons?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to add that it supports, encourages mixed use development within the area.
Okay,
On the record. All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none? Carried.
that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that is also carried.
Okay,
Please note that the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council.
Item number 2, Councillor Lukes.
yeah, my thing here. That the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none? Carried.
that the receipt of public representations be
All
concluded,
in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none? Carried.
that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and forwarded to the Standing Policy Committee on Property and Development.
Your item 1, reasons to be.
Same reasons, yes, add his.
Same reasons
yes,
too.
Okay,
Sure.
Councillor Dobson will also
Okay.
include yours. All in favor?
And then-
Opposed? Seeing none? Carried.
And that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that is also carried.
Just a quick question, why aren't these accelerated and they don't go to EPC?
There's a secondary plan amendment attached. So priority rezoning is for subdivision and rezonings, but because they're all together, they all go up together.
Okay, got it, okay.
And so, sorry, please note that the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council. No further representations are permitted, and all persons registered for the public hearing will receive notice when the matter is to be considered by council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll move on to item 3, which is our variance. Councillor Lukes.
That the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as
All in
read,
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none? Carried.
that the receipt of public representations be concluded,
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Seeing none? Carried.
that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan. It does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway, and it is the minimum modification of a zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property, and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. The supporting reasons would be the realignment of the subdivision and property lines require these variances. So that's the primary reason we're doing these variances. So,
I'll also add that the public service noted promoting pedestrian traffic, I believe, with the proximity to the building edge there.
Yeah. Pedestrian oriented design along the streets, along Center and South Two
Yeah,
Road.
which accounts for the elimination of the landscaping edge there.
okay,
As more
Okay,
eloquently put by Mr. Gold.
Right.
Please. Thank you.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
That the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and the variance be approved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, that's also carried.
And that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And I didn't ask them when they're starting, but I would expect it's pretty soon, right? So,
Please note that the committee's decision with respect to this application may be appealed. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the order issued, which will be mailed to all persons registered.
Great, we're moving on to our other items, and are these combined hearing as well, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
With the exception of 6, 7. Does anybody need a quick break before this, or do we want to move along?
no, it's just.
We'll move along. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Item 4 is a closing at Prairie Point Stage 11 under file DAC 7 of 2025. In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, this is a combined hearing and the following item will also be heard at the same time. Namely, item 5 is a subdivision and rezoning at Prairie Point Stage 11 under file DASZ 52 of 2025. Please note communications were received in support of the matter, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. If you'd like a brief overview from the public service.
Please.
Sure, thank you. So the subject site is located to the north of Waverly Street and to the east of Brady Road. This is in the Prairie Point neighborhood of the Waverly West Ward. The site's approximately 96 acres in size. Currently, it is undeveloped land made up of land that's zoned A, agricultural, and PR1, public reserve. As well, there's undeveloped public right-of-ways for future local streets that have not been built, but the rights-of-way are there. The subject sites located within the areas of Stability's recent communities policy area of our Winnipeg 2045 and Complete Communities Direction Strategy 2.0. As well, the site is within the Waverly West Southwest Neighborhood Area Structure Plan. The applicant is proposing to subdivide the existing lots on the subject site to create a total of 200 single-family residential lots and 10 additional residential blocks that would be subdivided into individual lots in the future. These will all be zoned a mix of R1 and R2 zoning. As well, there is one proposed multifamily lot to be zoned RMFS, residential multifamily small. They are also proposing to reconfigure the undeveloped public streets within this area. This development represents the 11th phase of development of the Prairie Point neighborhood by the applicant. There are no variances associated with this proposal, and the proposed development does include closing portions of undeveloped streets as noted. So therefore this requires a closing or a DAC application, which was made to the city under file number DAC 4 of 2020. No, that is, well, it's on the agenda. 7 of 2025. My apologies. The Public Service recommends approval of the subdivision and rezoning application because it aligns with the policies of Complete Communities, our Winnipeg, as well as the Waverly West Southwest Secondary Plan. And this recommendation of approval includes recommended amendments to the original ACG report, which was approved as part of the original subdivision in 2012. So that's a quick summary and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions from the committee?
I've been very well educated on this, so I don't have any questions.
If at all possible, could you just review the total number of units that this developmental
Sure.
built up?
Yeah, so their plans submitted show that there's going to be a total of 200 single family lots, and there's 10 blocks, which are larger blocks of land that are zoned a mix of R1 and R2. Those are likely to be subdivided into individual lots in the future. And then there is one additional multifamily lot. So there's a total of 201 lots created and 10 blocks being created.
And the multifamily lot can support up to how many potentially?
That has a density, a lot area per dwelling of 1,250 square feet per unit. And the height that is permitted in RMFS is 35 feet. So this is 3-story building, basically.
Any feedback from the public on this when it's posted?
No, I haven't received any communication from the public. I believe it's noted in the report. I don't believe that there was engagement efforts made before making an application, but this is generally consistent with what the plan for the neighborhood was all along. They're just making modifications to the design.
Thank you. No other questions at this time. We can move on.
Where do you
Sorry?
post a sign? Where do you post the signs?
They would be the large format signs I don't have the exact posting instructions for this particular.
You can ask us.
We can ask them. Okay.
I'm sure they know.
Mhm.
No. Thank you.
Okay, so first we'll hear from the applicant, Sean Gallagher, speaking in support of the application.
I was just joining him as well.
Okay, so you'll share the 5 minutes.
I'm gonna get a computer going.
Almost filled in, like almost. Where's that? Wow. So this is all that's left to do. It's crazy.
All right.
Good to go?
Good to
Please.
go.
5 minutes.
Go.
Better get going.
Go, go.
All right, so this is stage 11.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Right.
Now, although it is mostly zoned agricultural, we've got the right to file a zoning agreement to implement it to mostly single family, R1 medium. So stage 11, there's DHC 7 and DAS at 52. This is what we're referring to as stage 11. So next one. The primary purpose of this from our perspective is to sorry, I lost my spot here. We're basically getting rid of most of our cul-de-sacs. Markets have changed. Cul-de-sacs are becoming more and more challenging for us to service. So therefore, we're looking to remove cul-de-sacs. We're also looking at doing other minor changes, such as shortening the depth of lot setback onto the stormwater retention pond and straightening the general street alignment. So we would consider this to be mostly housekeeping from that perspective. But with that said, there is a couple other little changes that we're also looking at. We've had discussions with City Forestry, who in the past had identified a row of mature oak trees, and we're wondering whether or not we are going to save those. And when we designed this 15 years ago, we even taken into consideration those trees. So what we will be doing is, didn't even know they were there, to be honest with you.
Okay.
They're in the middle of the field. But so we're realigning the public reserve to take into consideration these oak trees, and we'll get to that in the next slide. So through our discussions, we talked with planning, parks, public works, water and waste, and forestry. So first step, DAC 7/2025. We're closing all of the right of way in this area, 20.48 acres. Primarily for the simplicity of it, it's simpler just to close it all and then reopen it. And this kind of generally shows where we're at. So on the left, this is the existing alignment of DAS 33 of 12. And this is
just showing where all of the row of trees are. The middle section is showing the closure. So DAC 7 2025 are closing up everything in yellow, and you can note the red cul-de-sac circles. So we're getting rid of 7 cul-de-sacs. And then on the right, you can see our redesigned road configuration, which is essentially the same, other than we've got roads that go through instead of end of cul-de-sacs, they're traveling through. And we've realigned the alignment of the park. We end up with 7.21 acres of park, which is 0.43 acres more park than what we had before. Well, it sounds counterintuitive. We end up with about a 4% increase in our development efficiency. Okay, and this plan is showing this is the outcome of our plan in our marketing materials, nice colorful pictures which show our lotting. So this is the area that we'll be lotting out, 200 single family lots. The rest is in a block form. We will come in at a later date through short form subdivisions to create the lots. Park concept includes a pathway through the park, which the old version had the same. Has a recreation field, which the previous version had the same, and a seating area, playground, and other recreational amenities in the park. The row of trees will be preserved along this alignment, along the south end of the park.
Where's your multifamily lot?
Right here, this is
Oh,
a
yeah,
small
right.
multifamily site. It's about 1.5 acres. We will be looking at a townhome type product, probably a 3-story townhomes, and either condo or rental. That will come forward at a later date. This we threw in the zoning plan, showing the zoning duplexes. So we do have, we are looking at some duplex lots. The blue is R1 small, purple is R1 medium, and there's the R1 FS. The reason we're doing R1 small is it gives us a little bit more flexibility with side yards. Everything else is the same on R1 small or medium. We can do 2 or 4 foot side yards on small versus medium. We threw in a couple extra slides here. Pedestrian connectivity. Red represents the sidewalks along collector streets. Green is the pathway through the park. And blue is a sidewalk as recommended in the ACG report connecting the park to the school. So schools in the top corner.
School. Extension of, what, 4 minutes?
20 seconds.
20 seconds?
Are we doing 4 minutes?
Sure.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried?
Okay, so just wait. So this is the new school that's going in here, and this is all the connectivity to the new school.
Sidewalks leading up to the school. Last slide is parking. The driveways and garage and driveways, there should be 750 spaces for parking and another about 100 on street for 200 lots. We expect that the rest of the development will be similar. I'll probably have another, like you asked earlier how many lots we had. We probably have about 500 in this stage when finished, and then probably another 200 in the last phase. So we're probably around 1,000 lots left in Highway or in Prairie Point.
But 500 specifically in this.
Yeah, the rest of it, so between the duplex area up here and all the rest of the single family, probably around 500. Thank you.
So the last area to get developed is the bottom corner, right?
Down here, yeah.
Right down in there.
So
Wow, that's crazy.
this will be 4 to 6 years, and then probably another 2 to 3 years here. So we're at 6 to, I'm saying we're between 6 and 10 years.
Mhm. And so let's just, okay, so what, I'm gonna read it.
Presentation's done.
You're done. Okay.
I didn't make the flag.
So what's the deal with cul-de-sacs? Like why don't people do people not like to buy a cul-de-sac, or is it like, what's the deal?
Size is getting too small.
The what?
The lot size. So when this was designed 15 years ago, our average or smallest lot was 40-foot wide lot. Now our standard lots are about 34 to 36 feet wide. And to get a 36-foot wide or a 34-foot wide lot on a cul-de-sac, there's no driveway.
Right.
driveways and there's no front boulevard. The driveways just all kind of run into each other.
Right.
Can't even plant any trees.
Right.
Trees,
It's just
so,
a big
yeah.
cement thing. Yes.
So our alternative would be to make them 38 or 40 foot wide, and that market is very weak. It's very small, too expensive. So straighten them out and we get more lots and we don't have to have issue with servicing the cul-de-sac.
And so it looks like did you have to build more roads? Like, is this one got more road,
Slightly, yes.
slightly more road in
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Very
Well, we had
marginal.
the right of way, the original right of way, we had 29 or 21.96 acres of right of way. That's what we're opening, closed
40.
21.48. So half an acre more right away.
Half an acre.
Street length, there'll be a little bit more street length.
Right. Interesting.
What is the size of the park?
7.2 acres total between the three pieces.
I think you guys have a playground of some kind there.
Yeah, I could.
It hasn't been designed yet, but there will be a play structure.
Shade,
Yeah, I could-
shade structure.
Yeah, probably a shade structure. Yeah, yeah. So 7.2 acres. The largest the largest piece is 6.6 acres. So we'll continue with our concept of providing accessible programming, both active and passive, for residents of all ages, especially in the largest parcel. Primarily, this will be a continuation of the AT path network, which will connect the eastern regions to the western regions. Additional amenities may include a playground for ages 2 to 12, gathering areas like seating nodes and shade structures, and a large recreational field, currently sized for a soccer pitch, but it's open programming. So, and then in addition, as Mike mentioned, we'll save the line of mature oak trees, and we'll include improvements like LDS lines for proper backlot area drainage and things like that. So.
So this is great to save the strip of trees. That's really good. I mean, they are oak trees, right? They're very sensitive about grading and all of that. So you're aware of all of that, right?
It's in the ACG report as well. So
Yeah.
we'll need a forester or a, what do you call them?
Yeah.
Arborist.
Arborist, yeah.
We need an arborist to work on the project with us. The grading will have to stay the same. So we'll be using split drainage and catch basin and leads.
Yeah, essentially we have to stay out of the drip line of the trees and
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's great. I mean, you can see it when you go to the end of Brady Road. You can see the trees, right? So that's really good that you're saving them. That's very good. Yeah, it's just incredible how it's filling in and progressing, right? So. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions at this time?
Nope.
Seeing none, okay, we can move on. Thank you for your presentation.
All right, so next in support of the application is Tyler Smith joining us in person. Tyler speaking. Okay, we'll move on to Garrett Ireland.
Yeah.
Speaking in support. Would you like to speak or just?
No.
Okay, and Maggie DeGagne. Are you speaking in support or just here in support?
I'm here in support.
Okay, all right. Is there anyone else? So we don't have anyone else registered in support, in opposition, or with respect to the application. Is anyone else in the gallery looking to speak in support, in opposition to, or with respect to the application? No, okay. If there are questions for the public service.
Any questions at this time? Comments? Seeing none?
No.
Okay, the applicant is entitled to speak in rebuttal to comments made. Michael and Tyler, or Sean, sorry, I don't know if you want to,
What sign was?
oh, right,
Oh, the sign.
would you like to come up?
Sure.
like this.
Well, we've taken it down off the screen, but I'll just show you generally.
Okay.
The sign was placed up in the north quadrant
Right.
in the vicinity of the roundabout. So we haven't made any changes to any of the land around the existing residents. There was basically no changes at all. So no one contacted us. Our original consultation was through DS in 2012. So
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Great. So at this point, we can hear motions if there are.
Okay, let me find my thing here.
We'll start with item number 4, which is the closing of Prairie Points, stage 11.
Oh, it's page 5. 5.
No.
No,
You're on the wrong. Am I on the other?
I'm looking on the.
Page 2, which is the.
Oh, so it's just really simple. Closing all these streets is really simple. Okay. That the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and forwarded to the Standing Policy Committee on Property and Development.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none. That's carried. Item number 5.
Please note that the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council.
My apologies. Item number 5.
Page 5. Okay. That the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none. Carried.
That the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none. Carried.
That the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and forwarded to the Standing Policy Committee on Property and Development.
For reasons.
Supporting reasons are basically updating a plan from 20, what year was it? 25. What year was the
I think
Well,
2012?
that's what we said. Yeah. 2012.
2012, basically, okay, so it's updating a plan from 2012 to support the market needs of 2026. Okay,
No, the reasons.
Yes, and I support it because they increased the size of the park.
sure, and protected the trees and supported protecting the trees. Okay,
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Is also carried.
Please note that the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council. No further representations are permitted on the subdivision and rezoning, and all persons registered for the public hearing will receive notice when the matter is to be considered by council.
Great. Item number 6 and 7 are combined period, I believe. I'll have the clerk introduce.
Item 6 is a subdivision and rezoning at 561 Municipal Road under file DAS SED 51 of 2025. In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, this is a combined hearing and the following item will also be heard at the same time. Namely, item 7 is a variance at 561 Municipal Road under file DAB 245099 of 2025D.
Public service, brief overview, please.
Good morning, councillors. My name is Sawyer Clausen, and I'm a planner with the Urban Planning Division. 561 Municipal Road is located in the Bettsworth neighborhood of the Charleswood Tuxedo Westwood Ward. The site is 14,924 square feet in area and 100 feet wide. It is zoned R1E residential single-family estate and is currently occupied by a single-family house constructed in 1945. The proposal is to subdivide the property into two 50 feet wide lots and rezone the lots to R1L residential single family large. The proposed lots require variances for a width of 50 feet instead of 55 feet and a lot area of 7,460 square feet instead of 8,740 square feet due to the requirements of a special boundary condition. There is also an ACG report that recommends standard conditions for lot servicing and grading. The change in zoning from R1E to R1L, while requiring variances for lot width and lot area for the subdivided lots, is closer to meeting the minimum requirements for the R1L zone than the existing lot is to meeting the minimum requirements of the R1E zone. The block of Municipal Road from Brookdale Street to Furland Boulevard features a variety of lot widths. The smallest lot is 33 feet wide. There's one other lot that is 50 feet wide, multiple lots that are 55 feet wide, and several lots that are 75 feet wide. At 100 feet wide, the existing property is the largest lot on the block and the outlier from the rest of the street. Splitting the property into two 50 feet wide lots brings it in line with the existing character of the street. Furthermore, there is precedent for lots of 50 feet on the block. Regarding lot area, there is precedent on the block for lots as small as 6,704 square feet. The existing lot is out of character on the block due to its size, and splitting it in half will again bring it closer to the average property size on the block. For these reasons, the Public Service recommends approval of the applications. Thank you, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions at all?
It's a lot split, so no.
Are there any restrictions on density on the lots?
The applicant is proposing single-family bungalows, and so there are no issues with density restrictions.
What about as of right? Any restrictions there?
As of right, let me pull it up here. I don't believe it has a, as of right, currently you'd be able to construct a fourplex under Schedule AC as it is on the 100-foot wide lot, split into 50.
Unfortunately, they can't. It's just a single because it doesn't meet all the requirements.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it doesn't have the servicing requirements, yeah.
That's right. So the applicant's aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I have no other questions. Anybody else?
I guess was there public consult on this, or I guess we can ask the proponent what the deal is.
It was posted. It was posted, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We did not have anyone register to speak, but is there anyone in the gallery that wishes to speak in support of this? Is the applicant here? Okay, so
Don't have any, let me just get that.
you don't want to speak at all?
Are you
Or
asking
register.
about any?
Is there any questions?
In order to rebut, you need to register
Okay.
and speak as, you're welcome to do so. You don't have to say anything, but you would just need to. If you don't wish to speak at all? Okay,
You guys are the applicant?
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
If no one is looking to speak, if there are questions for public service, or if you'd like to move into motions.
Motion, somebody take the chair for me, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. It's fine on the page. Live. All right, so I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
I'll move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I, I'm sorry, Counselor. I just want to make sure, I should probably just call out for opposition as well.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry.
Apologize.
Do you mind just rescinding that previous motion?
Yeah,
for
sure. I'll
receipt
rescind the
representation?
motion that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, so just confirming, no one in the gallery wishes to speak in opposition to, with respect to, in support of. Okay. Okay, sorry, counselors.
Don't apologize. Let's see how many times I screwed this up. Okay, I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried.
I'll move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
I'll move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and forwarded to the Executive Policy Committee via priority rezoning process. My supporting reasons are that they proposed lot sizes fit within the context of the existing neighborhood and that there was no public opposition to the application.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
I'll move that the public hearing with respect to the application is concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
Please note that the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council. No further representations are permitted on the subdivision and rezoning, and all persons registered for the public hearing will receive notice when the matter is to be considered by council.
Thank you. With regards to item number 7, Councillor Dobson, I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion's carried.
I'll move that the receipt of the public representations be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
Move that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan, does not create a substantial adverse effect on the amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining properties in the adjacent area, including the area separated from the property by a street or waterway, is the minimum modification of the zoning bylaw required to relieve any injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property and is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. And I'll have my supporting reasons from item number 6 reflected in item number 7.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion's carried.
I'll move that the recommendation of Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in and the variance be approved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
And I'll move that public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Please note that the committee's decision with respect to this application may be appealed. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the order issued, which will be mailed to all persons registered.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Appreciate your time today, folks. That is the conclusion to our reports and our public hearings. We'll be back at the end of April for another meeting of the Assiniboia Community Committee. And motion for
Motion to
adjournment,
adjourn.
moved by Councillor Lukes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is carried.